Welcome to another edition of the Gridiron Report. I'm Jared Johnson, and just want to point out, be sure to go to Red Raider Outfitter for all your Double T gear. I'm wearing this really cool Texas Tech Energy polo. You got, of course, pump jacks on it, oil rig, all that. Feels really nice and airy and light. Of course, the Dark Horse hat as well. I love the hat selection at Red Raider Outfitter, and thank you to them for being our gracious sponsor of this channel. As well as the Red Raider Outfitter Rockin' Pregame on Rock 101.1 FM here in Lubbock, and other things. And not to mention just that I've been shopping at Red Raider Outfitter since the 90s because, it's just a tremendous store and offers great gear. Now, this story or this video, just video, I'm not even making it a story on Inside the Red Raiders. We'll post it on the board there, but it's very personal and private to me, to be honest. And I feel like it's the perfect time to do it. I did not have this plan. This wasn't some big plan. As soon as I saw Kansas State on the schedule, I literally woke up today and felt compelled as a man of faith to share this story. But this is my truth about Matt Wells, who is now, of course, the offensive coordinator at Kansas State, a former Texas Tech head coach before Joey McGuire. I want to start off and say, I totally agreed with the timing of Texas Tech parting ways with Matt Wells. I know a lot of people have a great disdain for Coach Wells. I'm not one of those people, especially not as a person. I have a lot of respect for that man, and I'll tell you why here in a minute. But in terms of on the field and football, yeah, too many just poor decisions, in-game decisions, which cost Tech games, including eventually the Red Raiders losing to even some of the guys who I know who report and love Kansas State, report on and love Kansas State. We're like, this is a terrible Kansas State team. Tech's going to kill them. Tech had built a big lead in that game and then inexplicably just fell apart and lost to, again, that year, a poor version of Kansas State football. But the Wildcats certainly have owned Texas Tech, have won 11 of the last 12. I believe that's correct. The last time Tech beat Kansas State was 2015. It was senior day here in Lubbock, and Tech was able to run the ball for over 200 yards on the Wildcats. But outside that, the Wildcats have owned Tech, including in Coach Wells' last game here at Texas Tech. So, and I was the guy who pointed out, I remember it was COVID when Matt Wells decided to kick it on second down when they were down 2 scores late in the game. I asked him why. I remember that was reason I remember it being COVID was because it was via Zoom, the press conference. But I'm still the same local dude who asked Kirby Hocutt in his press conference when he announced the firing of Coach Wells. You said this was on you. This was your hiring. Why did it not work? Why? Was this a bad hire and, basically a mistake by you? So I'm not shied away from the truth about what's happened on the field. But another truth about just the team is that Matt Wells was a really nice bridge for Joey McGuire in terms of roster building. The roster was in shambles when Matt Wells inherited it. Wrote a detailed story that I did not enjoy writing, to be quite honest, but it was the truth. The way I saw it, the undeniable truth with what was happening with the roster at that time. And Matt Wells was able to augment the roster via the transfer portal with guys like Muddy Waters, Tyree Wilson. There are others, but those are 2 that stand out to me where he big time improved the roster, which helped Joey McGuire when he took over. And, oh, by the way, I've made so many mistakes. I will continue to make mistakes, but one thing that I will say is I pointed out, and this may have been a mistake at the time, when Tech hired Matt Wells, I actually said on the radio, I'm sure there's receipts somewhere, it was a while ago, but on the Red Raider Outfitter Rockin' Pregame, that when there was a coaching search after Kingsbury, I was like, I don't know if a lot of people are aware, but there's this guy named Joey McGuire. He's at Baylor. He was a high school legend, and he would greatly improve the roster just through his coaching ties throughout the state. In retrospect, that timing probably would have been wrong. I'm glad McGuire got some more seasoning at the college level, even as an assistant. But I'm glad. I think things worked out the way they were supposed to. In terms of Coach Wells, my truth about him is, while recognizing the in-game decisions were not good and they cost Tech games. B, he did help rebuild this roster at least to where it could get back to bowl games and start having some kind of base in which to do what they're doing now. Now, of course, who could have foreseen or foresaw all the changes to college sports, the Cody Campbells, the Wombles, the Sellers, the Peterson stepping up, and all of you, honestly, with the Matador Club to help Texas Tech become what they are at this point for this pivotal game against Kansas State. Tech ranked 13th, right there in the mix of getting to Jerry World with 4 games remaining, 7-1 overall, 4-1 in the Big 12. Who would have foresaw that this could even be a possibility? But of course, big game there in Manhattan, I believe 2:30 Central Time. So I think that game's on Fox. So many game times next week with BYU and all that. But I believe that is correct. But bottom line, huge matchup. Coach Wells is the offensive coordinator there. And I just want to share a personal thing in terms of my faith and my relationship with Coach Wells that has meant a lot to me, why I will always consider him a friend of mine. And if people don't care about that, then you can go ahead and turn off the video. I've said the on-field stuff in terms of just straight football. But there was I think if you're watching this, not everybody knows, but I think a lot of people know just the way it played out, that my wife passed away from cancer in 2021, and she was in the hospital for weeks and weeks. And of course, life goes on. And there was a point for me, there were several points for me, but there was a point for me where I had, of course, been at the hospital with my wife. My mom had flown in from Dallas to help take care of my son, who was 9 or 10 at the time. I think he was 10. Help him get to school, just take care of him, while I was at the hospital. And I had gone and my wife had a particularly rough night in the roller coaster that was, her condition and her time in the hospital. And I had gone home, taken a shower, hugged my son, who wasn't able to see her in the hospital when she was there for over 6 weeks, except for once. And it had been weeks since he had seen her. I was gone a long time. My son was very upset. And then my mom was upset because he was so upset. And then I was trying to, of course, do what I was doing at the hospital. So I took him to school, talked to him, wiped his tears away, wiped my mom's tears away, drove to the hospital. And I remember getting out in the parking lot, and there was just a moment of weakness for me where I remember I had my keys and my cell phone in my hand in the parking lot of the hospital, and I was just walking in circles, crying, upset, not feeling like I was going to be strong enough to do what I needed to do when I went into the hospital. And I prayed. I said, God, I don't think I'm strong enough for this. I need help. I need help right now. And literally in that moment, I was holding my phone. Matt Wells' name appeared on the phone. And I didn't even know he was aware of my situation, to be honest. And, I talked to him, and he told me he was aware of my situation. He asked me if I was a man of faith. He shared a little bit about his faith. I told him basically what I just told you, the situation. And Matt Wells and I prayed together. And he also gave me a pep talk. And it was exactly what I needed at that time. I felt like it was an answered prayer. And then throughout the rest of the process, he would check in on me via text and calls and stuff like that. And there were times where just not as a reporter or a coach, but just 2 men of faith trying to make it, trying to make it in this crazy world, that we were there for each other. So I consider, I don't talk to him a lot, maybe a couple of texts or direct messages since he's left. But yeah, I respect Matt Wells, absolutely, the man, the Christian that he is. And another thing to point out, a truth about Matt Wells, was the blunder leading up to his final game that lost to Kansas State here in Lubbock, which, oh, by the way, of course, Kirby Hocutt, the athletic director, played at Kansas State. So that was just a pivotal week for everybody. I think everybody knew that going into the game, especially Kirby Hocutt. I don't know how much Matt Wells knew, considering the team still had a winning record. But he, on his coach's show, he was asked a pretty innocuous question, like, what do you love most about Lubbock? And he basically stumbled and stuttered and said his family. And I know a lot of people still have issue with that. And how could they not, given their perspective? My perspective was in some of our talks with Matt Wells, and I hope I'm not betraying any confidence here, but one of the things that really was tough for him was that he could take all the criticism that goes with the job, but his kids, I know at least one young daughter at the time was being accosted all the time. Some of the things that, I wouldn't say to a grown man unless I was ready to fight him. Some of the things that I was told, at least secondhand, that his children were told, and then they would come home crying and all that, So his perspective of, say, Lubbock, Texas Tech fan base was not good. Like most of our perspective, look, these are salt of the earth people, maybe arguably the best people, the nicest people, toughest people you'll meet anywhere in the world. But there's always, in every fan base, whether it's the Alabama fan poisoning Auburn's tree, or Arizona State fans throwing water bottles on the field, Texas, the minority, not the vast majority of great Texas Tech fans, no matter their age, sex, race, creed, whatever, great people. There's always that person that will throw the extra tortilla, for example, after the opening kickoff, which costing, our agreement with Texas Tech and the Big 12 and all that. There's always that dude, or a couple of just the minority of those dudes who paint a fan base in a very bad light, despite the vast majority, and certainly at Texas Tech. And for example, the fans and the people out here is a big reason why I went to school here, I came back here to work here, and why I've stayed here for 12 years and not gone anywhere else, is because the people here are amazing. But from Wells' perspective, when he was asked that question, certainly right then, like during those weeks leading up to that, his children were being accosted, so that was not his perspective. Now, I respect him for not just throwing out BS, but that was a nail in the coffin, along with the, along with that loss. So I certainly was understood that it was time for him to go. I think things could have gone differently. He should own some of the in-game mistakes and some other things, little things in and around the program. But the truth is, I respect him. I'll consider him a friend. He is the offensive coordinator for Kansas State, and they've been doing very well here recently, leading up to this game. It's a monster game, and I do root for him as much as I can, another team in the conference, but certainly not this week. With being someone who covers Texas Tech, all the things that go into what I feel about this team, this coaching staff, I hope they shut them out. But I just think that this truth might kind of give some more perspective about what actually went on, at least from my perspective, maybe some from Coach Wells' perspective when he was here. And I felt like this was the best time to talk about all of these things leading up to this game and Texas Tech taking on their former coach. But huge matchup. I can't wait for the game. And, there are a lot of things that go on beyond just the sport of football. I think most people realize that. These coaches have an opportunity to make big impacts in people's lives and the communities they go to. And that's why, believe it or not, while I absolutely believe just win, baby, and winning football games is the most important thing, it doesn't hurt to bring good people into your community. And I certainly think Joey McGuire is one of those. And I think, though misunderstood, Matt Wells was one, as well as Kingsbury, a great human being, by all accounts. So, that is an added bonus. But in the end, it's about winning ball games. Big one for Texas Tech and Kansas State this weekend. I can't wait. We're going to have tons more coverage, actually just previewing the game and talking football, just talking ball. But for now, I want to thank you for watching, and until next time.